Do you enjoy sitting there and not only duding on a monster's face, but also providing good and solid damage? Do you sit there and want to always make sure that your fellow hunters are topped up and full? And do you just love ignoring roars to just give you damage windows? Well, welcome to today's comfy build. So as you guys seen in the hunt previews, this build is just overall a great time. Sitting there and not only being able to deal out solid and decent damage, plus sitting there and having your songs not only ignore roars, but also sit there and retain everyone's sharpness to the point where no one's really like sharpening. It's just such a solid time. Also on top of that, like, you can put out some big damage with this build. Like this build, even just on like earth shakers, like, look at this, bam, it's solid damage. This is almost 1,000 damage right there. Like, this is just a great time. You know, as somebody who sits there and hears constantly about corner horning, there is no need for that. You can sit there and keep your friends or even like random parties buffed up. Make sure they have their armor skin, make sure they have their demon drugs. Sit there, make sure you also sit there and pop powders for them. Like, this is overall just going to be a good time. So with that, we're going to sit there and just kind of go over things. How I like to initiate in a hunt is I like to sit there, come up, say we're walking up to a monster right now, like to sit there, pop my like skins, get those out of the way early, super early on, then sit there, walk up, pop powders, so that way we're just keeping the good damage rolling. Then if we don't have self improvement, we're at least sitting there and starting to swing at the monster and get some buffs up. If this is like a hunt that you just recently came into, you're not going to be sure on exactly what's going on with the scenario, what's going on with the situation. So getting like earplugs up super early is a must. Then sitting there and looking after everyone's sharpness on top of all of that is just going to be extra juicy. On top of that, don't forget that our Silkbind Shockwave is just an overall like extra buff for sitting there and getting more KOs. Even though we're gonna show the build today shows no slugger at all, you're still gonna be able to get KOs because of the simple fact that like Hunting Horn is still a mean machine when it comes to that. Like, this is just gonna be overall a good time, and you're gonna make sure that everyone in the hunt also has a great time. On top of that, you're keeping your uptime and damage due to just not having to worry about roars and making sure that no one has to sit there and stop and go through and sharpen the weapons. So with that, we're gonna sit there, go through and show you what's going on. For our attack, we got 399 attack, 28 dragon. Our dragon's not really gonna be like the big thing here. We're not really doing too much with that. We have 15% affinity, which we'll go into a little bit later on why we have affinity there. We have 846 defense. Keep in mind, this is also going to be with like demon drug and stuff up because of the simple fact of showing you how we initiate fights. Our red scroll, we're going to sit there and have overhead smash, echo, crush attack combo, earth shaker, and Silkbind Shockwave. This is just for most part the only thing that I really sit there and stay in. I don't, for Hunting Horn, sit there and mash through like my different scrolls at all. My blue scroll, technically speaking, for the most part, outside of like making sure I still have Shockwave on, is just like me messing around with stuff. So you really only need the one scroll. Outside of that, the second scroll is really optional. If you want to sit there and play with something, or if Hunting Horn mains want to sit there and be like, hey, you could try this for your blue scroll, feel free to sit there and comment down below. That would be great. Overall, what are we rocking with? Defense boost 7. We're gonna sit there and make sure that since we are the backbone of the party, we're never gonna die. Attack boost 6. This is specifically for this variant. We'll go into another variant with a different hunting horn to sit there and show you if you guys don't have our current hunting horn. Wide range of 5. This is just so that way we can keep everybody in the party going and having a good time. Crit eye 3. This is where we're getting our 15% crit from, along with weakness exploit to give us 65% crit overall for our damage. This is just going to be a super solid time with the fact that we have attack boost 6. So this is really where our big damage is coming from. Quick sheath, even though people sit there and look at me and they're gonna be like, but bro, you're sitting there and already having a fast time with like putting away your hunting horn. You gotta remember, you're the backbone of the party, bro. Like if you gotta sit there, go through and get to your mega pots, while you're sitting there and doing that, you gotta make sure you just bam. Like it's gotta be quick. You can't sit there and like mess around. This is a get your party back up scenario. This can't, like, we can't sit there and let anybody die. The only time I've had issues with people dying is simply just the like end game hunts. I'll keep that fairly spoiler free. If you guys have sat there and fought those, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That debuff's a little rough on this build, but you're still able to power through and make sure most people can stay alive through it. Speed eating. This is required for wide range builds. This is a must. So you're pairing wide range with speed eating and another skill that we're going to sit there and go into just a little bit later on. Stun resistance level 3. We're sitting there and needing stun resistance so much because we can't get stunned. If we're sitting there getting stunned, that's more a time that the party has to deal with. We have to make sure that we're invincible gods almost to make sure our party is perfectly fine. Free meal. This is the other skill. So we have wide range, speed eating, plus free meal to sit there and have our actual support skills. Outside of these 3 skills, really everything else is kind of up to choice. But these 3 skills are the main and musts. You need these to be able to sit there and play a really good solid support in Monster Hunter. Wirebug Whisperer level 3. This is just so that way not only can we sit there and keep our movement up, but we can also sit there and go through, have our shockwave up, which is going to give us our buff for sitting there and getting more KOs. Not only that, going into a little bit of attacks, sit there, play your chords, then go straight into like a big skill is just going to be a super solid time. It's just going to lead to a lot of like good damage, a lot of solid uptime. So we're going to sit there and have Wirebug Whisperer for that. Horn Malzeno is so that way we can sit there and make sure our buff durations stay up fairly long. Because of sitting there and using Echo, you're just going to always have them up because they're only 1 notes. I haven't tried with the other note performance to sit there and see if it works as well, but I just prefer Echo's gameplay, so we're sitting there and rocking Horn Malzeno and Echo. Blight resistance is just it's just there. It's part of the armor skill. Same with muck resistance. If you guys sit there and find like going through muck with a Mudron or with Barioth is just gonna sit there and help so that way you can keep the party up, well then that's just an extra bonus technically. Flinch free is a must. There's too many longsword users, and with Monster Hunter or Sunbreak sitting there and having like you going in, sitting there and doing some damage, having a good time with the damage, and all of a sudden a spread user comes up behind you and sits there and starts blasting, bro, you're just gonna be like like you're not gonna be able to move if you're not careful. So sitting there and using that. Normally I don't suggest sitting there and putting flinch free on hunting horn since we have super armor for a lot of our skills, but it's just one of those things where you're the like I can't emphasize enough. You're the backbone of the party, so that way we can't be interrupted with what we're doing, because then it just nerfs our whole entire party damage. Carving Pro is just technically speaking an extra slot. There's just an extra slot within this build. So what's the hunting horn of choice? We're using Malzeno's maxed out hunting horn. This is going to give us sharpness regeneration, earplugs, and sharpness loss reduced. This is just overall going to make sure that no one needs to sharpen, everyone can ignore roars, and you're just going to have a solid time with the damage. On top of that, for the Rampage slot, we're sitting there and using the Spirit Bird doubling skill. I haven't had a lot of good times with level 1 slots. It's temporary why I just stay away from level 1 Rampage slots in general. The other skill that's slotted in is Wide Range 4, because we're going to sit there and go into the Talisman and show that, like, this Talisman is like the bare minimum of what you need. Malzeno a helmet, just overall a solid time. With the 2 level 2 slots, we're sitting there and having full weakness exploit on this, plus we're sitting there and getting Warbug Whisperer level 2. This is just overall a great time. Most of this build, as you see, is Malzeno stuff, but Malzeno is just such a good monster when you're going through progression to just stop and quickly farm up a bunch of parts and pieces from him. He's so good. Bury Off Chest is gonna give us attack boost too. This is where also our full defense is sitting in, because we're using the big defense 5 for max defense in this chest piece. Just overall super comfy. And muck resistance, which again, if you guys sit there and comment down below and tell me, hey man, I was playing the build and I didn't have issues with muck at all, well, congratulations, because I usually don't have issues with it, but this is the reason why I never really slot in muck resistance. Malzeno braces, sitting there and having Wirebug Whisper, attack boost level 2, blight resistance, and full stun resistance, because we're sitting there and putting our stun 4 jewel in there. It's just overall just good stuff. Good stuff. Scholarly Slash. This is going to be where we're sitting there and having our quick sheath, free meal, crit, 1 level of crit eye, and our good old carving pro. As you can see, it's a 3-1-1, and we're sitting there and throwing in our good old 2 level 1 skills plus our crit eye here. Just overall, just good stuff. We definitely need the quick sheath here. It's definitely a must. Ingot Greaves, welcome to, hey, this was formerly meta, and well, it's back and still meta for even our comfy builds. It's just overall a good time. Once you sit there and unlock these boots, just go ahead and pick them up. With them sitting there and having 2 level 1s, we're sitting there and putting free meal in here for the rest of our free meal. And finally, the Talisman of Choice. Our Talisman of Choice is actually speed eating level 2, wide range level 1 with a level 2 and a level 1. The level 2 is going to sit there and have us fully capped off on our speed eating, and our level 1 is going to sit there and give us Horn Maelstrom. The second version of our good old support horn, as you can see, we're rocking Kimura, so we're going to sit there and have attack up, defense up, and we're going to be able to have antidote recovery. So if you're having issues with poison monsters and things like Rathian or certain other hunts, you can sit there and get overall, like, everyone's still topped up. It's just the problem is you're gonna sit there and have people still sharpening your their weapons and stuff. So this is definitely the more budget option out of the two. The only difference with this is you're gonna also have a lot less attack and defense, because of the simple fact that we're having our attack and just no defense here. But that's so that way we can able to fit in the rest of the good old like skills. So with this one specifically, it's wide range 5, attack boost 4, crit eye 3, weakness exploit level 3, quick sheath 3, speed eating 3, stun resistance 3, speed sharpening at 3, just so that way we can sit there and keep up with everything. Notice my Kimura horn isn't maxed out, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. Mushroom Mancer 3, so for those of you guys that want to sit there and play Mushroom Mancer support, here's your Mushroom Mancer. So the option between either the Malzeno portion of the build or the Kimura portion is whether you want to sit there and do Mushroom Mancer stuff or not. I prefer not to, but that's because I just enjoy the comfiness that Malzeno has shown. Free meal, this is also just your general staple. So if you're a Mushroom Mancer build, you're gonna sit there and have free meal plus Mushroom Mancer and speed eating with wide range. So you're adding a whole entire extra skill if you're just wanting to use mushrooms instead of like potions and stuff. Mushrooms are definitely an easier way to go. It's definitely a lot resource light in terms of what you're burning, but if you've kept up with your farm enough, you don't really have to worry about that. Wirebug Whisperer level 3, Horn Maelstrom, blight resistance, flinch free, and carving pro. Going in, the only big change between besides the weapon is we're also using Grand Chaos Plate with a level 2 and a level 1 slot, which is going to sit there and have house our Mushroom Mancer, with also sitting there and grabbing us our Crit Eye plus speed sharpening and our Horn Maelstrom. On top of that, our Scarlery sash changes. We're sitting there and having Mushroom Mancer slotted into the level 3 here to give us full Mushroom Mancer, and the horn, we're sitting there and playing around with the exploits with our skills. So anytime you sit there and you're going, oh hey, I'm up against this, you're wanting to switch your exploits around. This is just to help keep damage high. It's not going to be like this damage could still be fairly high for solo play, but keep in mind you're still going to get interrupted by roars and stuff. You're still going to just have an awkward time on that. I've been having a pain trying to sit there and really wanna play with Chimera weapons. They're really good, they're super solid, and it's definitely a very good budget option. In terms of talisman, what do you need as bare minimum? Bare minimum we're needing is to make sure that we have at least a really good speed eating talisman. If you have speed eating, say level 2 with a level 2 slot, you're still able to make this work. It's just instead you're gonna take out one of like our crit jewels. So our critical eye here isn't going to be critical eye for you, it's going to sit there and be a wide range deco, so that way you can sit there and slot in the rest of your deco. With that, definitely thank you guys so much for the support. Like and comment down below if you sat there and found this build at all helpful or interesting. And just remember, until the next video, stay comfy.